if the Earth is curving. So people will start asking questions, how far out until the ocean starts curving? And you never get a straight answer out of anybody. It's always, oh, light refraction and, you know, whatever. And then Neil deGrasse Tyson, his very self, and Neil deGrasse Tyson, specifically, who's team space, team everything, he said that video was a fisheye lens. He goes, from that height, the Earth would be totally flat. You would not see curvature from that height. I went to the Air and Space Museum in San Diego, and they go, oh yeah, this satellite up here, that's been in space. It's like, dope. How'd you get it back? And they go, we're going to ask Jim. Jim probably knows. The more the information they give you, the more confused people are, the less they care, because they're like, look, I got my own stuff to deal with.
Yeah,
like I
exactly.
I used to sell protein powder at GNC. If I gave you 2 different brands, I can get you to buy one. If I told you about a 3rd brand, you're going to go home and you're going to be like, it's too much information.
What do you find entertaining?
People falling down.
Yeah, I see the shit. I see your reaction videos. Your shit, you be like, ooh, your face.
I watch ridiculousness all the time.
Go. It's the conversation. Yeah. Take your mind different places. Now you know. So yeah.
So yeah, we got Darrin Chase back in the crib. What's good, man?
What's happening?
How are you? How was your day?
It's been a good day, man.
Hey.
Central Park. And, yeah.
That's when I saw you, right? You was walking Tundra, and then I saw you passing by, and that's when you went to Central Park?
Yeah.
Then you went there quick, so it only takes you like what, on the one wheel? How long does it take you?
Oh, 20 minutes.
Nice.
From me leaving my house to me being at Columbus Circle, I can be there in 20 minutes flat. So that pretty much means I can get to Times Square, Central Park, and give or take it's the same time. You know, if I'm taking my time kind of cruising, 25 minutes or something. But
Dope.
Beats the train, you know?
You love Central Park.
Yeah, I go there quite a bit.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
I be watching your stories, bro. You be always in Central Park. But I feel like you go through parts that are, I guess, the untraveled paths.
A little bit. I'll take the main, like, down that big mall area that heads to the fountain. Like, that's pretty popular area. But, like, yeah, there's a lot of little side roads and side little paths and jaunts you find on the one wheel that you just don't find anywhere else. You know, when you're walking, it's not the same, you know.
Yeah.
You can only cover so much ground, so it's hard to find certain areas. And with the one wheel, you can just go, I'm going to go this way for a few seconds, and you find a whole new, you know, like there's the bird sanctuary area I've been going to that's so peaceful, and I didn't know it was there for the first 6 months I lived here, and I just randomly found it. I'm like,
where is it?
It's on the southern end, you know. It's that spot I post when I'm just by the water, and there's like, it's just really quiet. I don't know if you've seen it, like little dirt path or mulch kind of path.
Okay, sometimes it all looks the same.
Yeah, there's like a little mulch area instead of dirt, and so this area is like more mulch and kind of more groomed and stuff, and it goes down to where there's a little round area.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's dope. Do you fuck with Prospect Park?
Sometimes. I got some friends that ride over there every Saturday morning, and I just haven't woke up early enough to join them.
They're the same developers.
Yeah.
I love the way that park is set up.
Yeah, they're so perfect, and so like once you really find a flow of it, you're like, this flow exists, and then you know one was, I mean, just the way that the park in general is so set up, it's like ideal.
There's a part in Central Park that's like you could kind of get lost in.
It's called the Rambles.
Is it that? Is that what it's called?
They call it the Rambles because it's like you're.
Is it right by the bridge? It's like right by some bridge, right?
There's a bridge there, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they call it that because it's like you're rambling. You're just rambling through the woods and you're getting lost and you're kind of. And that's how those roads are set up. And when you look at it from above, it's, you know.
Wild.
Trippy, yeah, to get lost out there. But.
And it's interesting because they made it that way, right? You know? But, yo, I want to say thank you for coming by again because, you know, last time the camera did just shut off. But this time I got the whole setup there, so we have a lot of time. And I really do appreciate you coming by again, bro.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me.
Yo, the one wheel, bro, I feel like you are one of the most, like, they should fucking give you money for advertising how much you fucking ride that shit, bro.
I have promoted that thing a lot.
Yeah.
The other day, I actually had another person on it with me.
Wait, with you?
Literally riding.
Really?
Where, I'm holding her and she's riding.
Okay.
We went through Central Park, like
it
the
worked?
entire Central Park.
Really?
There's videos of it probably. I mean, definitely out there. People came up to us and were literally recording us. We're going by.
Okay, that's dope.
It was one of those moments that I'm like, this is absolutely insane. And if you're going to do that kind of thing, definitely wear a helmet.
Right. But you weren't.
Yeah, no. But no, it was dope, and you know, just the fact that one wheel can actually carry 2 people. I'm over 200 pounds, and she was 100. Like, I mean, like,
Well, yeah.
that's 300 plus pounds, and that thing is carrying up hills and
That
stuff.
shit's heavy, bro.
That thing, I mean, it's 35 pounds. It's just awkward more than
It's a nice one. It's cool. It really is, like, I guess, the future's here in terms of, like, traveling around with that.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I think so.
Do you think an actual hoverboard is gonna hit the market?
Maybe. I mean, like the way that they're making drones and fans and all that stuff. But I mean, I don't know. I think in the meantime, this is as close as you're gonna get, and it really does feel like you're floating and hovering the way you can carve and cut and wrap around things, and you know, and it sketches people out because everyone's just so.
What is that?
Self-preserved. They don't want to hurt themselves. They don't want to get killed. And literally, like 95% of the people that that see me on the one wheel, they go, "Oh, I'd kill myself on that." And they always say that exact sentence, like, "I'd kill myself." I'm like, "Well, quit being so depressed, you know." The one wheel will cheer you up, you know.
Right, the one will cheer you up.
Yeah, you won't kill yourself now. But no, I broke my wrist the first day on the one wheel. I literally, 24th hour, I was cruising past a pack of geese in Minnesota. And they had a bunch of goslings, and when geese have goslings, they get really violent.
Is that babies?
Yeah.
Okay.
The little baby ones.
That's what it's called, goslings?
Yeah.
So that's dope.
They'll have like they'll have a runner goose that like will protect the flock of baby geese. And they'll have one goose that's just like kind of walking back and forth, and if it sees trouble, it just charges at it. And when a goose is charging at you, it's coming at you, and you're on a one wheel for the first day. You're like, ah, and like I'm trying to speed past it, and I don't know if I just lost balance going off the trail or if I went too fast and it cut off on me, but yeah, I slammed harder than I ever slammed. And a couple months later, got my wrist x-rayed, and they said, "Oh, you have a 6mm misaligned fracture that I never got healed. I never got dealt with when I landed. I just wrapped it and never used it." But I literally broke a bone my first day on the one wheel. Like it'll happen.
But then it healed over time.
Yeah, of course. You know,
that's what's up. Isn't that dope?
Get hurt, you know?
The human body, thank you, God. For real, you know what I'm saying? Like the way how certain shit just heals over time.
Yeah, I mean, I cut my leg open in Central Park when I first moved here on the one wheel. All right,
this is a lie. I guess the one wheel's not that good.
Well, no, I mean, if you're gonna be dumb, you gotta be tough, and you can definitely don't keep glass in your pocket. There's a lot of stuff that I do that I'm not faulting the one wheel at all. Like it's 100% me. Just
not doing shit
whatever.
right.
But either way, like I hit a big pothole that has since been filled in Central Park. There was a road with this big pothole. It needed to be filled in. I got to it the day before they filled it in. When I went back 2 days later to take a picture of the hole I hit, it had already been filled in. And I'm like, oh man, I was, but like literally I just wasn't looking, hit this pothole, and I flipped in the air and I landed on my side, and I had a weed pipe in my cargo short pocket.
Right.
It shattered. It sliced my leg open so deep, I'm gushing blood to the point where literally everyone, and logically everyone's like, you need stitches. You need stitches. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I got butterfly bandages, and within an hour after I cut my leg, my friends brought me, I just sat down and I had a napkin on it. I'm just sitting there in Central Park bleeding, like genuinely bleeding, middle of July, just like,
practically
I might
to
lose
death.
my fucking leg. Like
you might lose consciousness.
It's not, I wasn't even that. It was like, man, where it's cut, it could be that artery that never stops. Because you cut yourself in the back of the leg, you can literally die from blood loss. Or it could be so bad they just need to amputate. Like I didn't know. I'm like, am I gonna lose my freaking leg? Am I gonna be able to walk?
Did you see discoloration?
Thankfully, no. Thankfully, as I kept an eye on it. But like in that moment, it was just like a fresh cut, and like so I just put butterfly bandages on it, and everyone's like, dude, go to the doctor. And I'm like, it'll be fine. And I was saying that because I didn't see discolorization on anything, and I could move my leg. I'd walk. The next day I was walking. As soon as I cut it, I still rode 24 miles on my one wheel.
And also, what is this, by the way? What jersey is this?
This is my comedy brand, Worry Free Comedy.
Worry Free Comedy. This is your comedy brand?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's just, I'm trying to get that brand rolling and stuff. Like, all my clothes generally have Worry Free Comedy. And that's kind of the life I live on that thing. It goes hand in hand with the one wheel life.
Is there a certain reason why you have these certain numbers, or it's just whatever?
I mean, we're just getting into all kinds of deep stuff here.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, it's how old my dad was when he died.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, shit,
Yeah,
dope.
so that's always kind of been.
I mean, not dope, I'm sorry. But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, dope in the fact that you put it together in the shit that you care about, you know? So that's what's up. So your father was, like, a big deal to you in your life?
Oh, I was 15 months old, so yeah, I didn't really have any knowledge, you know.
I got
As
you.
a 1-year-old, you kind of know them, but
Yeah, do you? Not really.
yeah, memories and all that stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No, I got you.
it was always one of those things I kind of kept as like a number, like halfway morbidly, like, oh, my dad only got 26 years in this life, you know, how many will I get? You know, like as a kid when I was like 18, 19, it was like you're living within that time, and then like,
And then you keep living.
yeah, when I got to 26, I was just like, and I didn't have a family, I didn't have any of that stuff, I'm like, man, what would I want to do? And that ties into what we were saying last time, just how I started traveling, how I literally just picked a place to go, and how I started living, I don't know, a little more worry-free, because I'm like, I'm on borrowed time to a sense. Not that everyone has that same deadline, but it was just like, yeah, my dad only got 26 years, and what would I do if I had extra time after that? You know, what he maybe wanted. I don't know what he would want to do, you know, but I just started like traveling a lot more, and yeah, that's when I started stand-up comedy and
Nice.
LA and yeah, all that stuff. By the time I was like 28, 29, you know, I was doing stand-up comedy, but it wasn't right at 26. It was just that was kind of when the shift started happening mentally, where I was like, I don't want to keep living a job life and working for other people and having some guy that is having a miserable time at home come in and push me around at work because he can, because I'm afraid of getting fired, and telling me I need to act this way. I didn't like that. I had a manager at GNC, nutrition store, that like came from a Hollywood video. He just got hired in as a manager above me, and I'm like, well, you know nothing about nutrition. Like he just literally couldn't answer the actual questions people wanted to know, and he was running the store, like, and I was like, I don't like this. I don't like that.
Feels like bullshit, right?
Yeah, we're actually trying to help people with vitamins, and this guy just comes in with a video store mindset and starts trying to push me around and tell me what I should do.
You never had a good boss?
I mean, I've had good bosses, sure.
Yeah,
but I
okay.
just got to a point when I was like, I can't keep putting myself in that kind of scenario. So I started kind of working for myself and, you know, sacrificing a lot more. I started, you know, minimizing my life a lot more and having a lot, you know, like, but yeah, and then find a different wave, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yo, but where we left off before in the podcast was, and that's how I ended it off, was you were talking, you were like, and back to the whole moon landing shit.
Oh shit.
And then I cut it off. And then that's how
Did I ever show you the video of us leaving the moon?
What do you mean, us leaving the moon?
Oh
yeah, you did show me the video.
I showed you the video?
You showed me the video. Yeah. How it just like lifted up.
Yeah.
Right. Send me that video. I'm gonna clip it in.
Ignition. Right away, Houston. Regs are good. Ag saw it. Pitch over. Roger, you have good thrust. Okay, 30 seconds. 308 your number. Okay, coming through 1,500 feet, and H-dot looks good.
Nah, because it is interesting, right?
Yeah, the Apollo moon leaving video. But just all that stuff that surrounds it, and, you know, I don't know. It's interesting. Well, the most interesting part is I think since then they've landed on the moon again recently with a lander that doesn't have people in it, an unmanned lander, and it kind of crash landed, and they couldn't live stream it. But they live streamed the one in the 60s. Because the one in the 60s, they actually had the president on a corded phone, and they said on TV, this is live. And it's like, okay, so now we know that they couldn't have been live, so they clearly were just lying to people. If they lied at that level, you know, it's like they're lying, you know, they couldn't do it live. They could have just told us we're not doing it live. They could have said, here's where we're at, moon technology, but they had to really make it seem like it was everything, and it was just as science fiction as you could imagine 1960 would be, you know? The space suits, like how would you move in a pressurized canvas space suit that's pressurized, you know, and they're moving freely, fingers moving, twisting things. and no one really kind of thought that stuff through. And now they go, oh, now that people are thinking that stuff through, we can't send people to the moon. Sorry, the Van Allen radiation belt. So it was there before. Yeah, but we just didn't know about it. So how did it affect people? I don't know. We just didn't know about it. Now we know about it. We can't send people through. It'll kill them. It's like, what? None of that makes any sense.
That's true.
But that's literally their definition. But yeah.
Wow. Well, you know what's interesting about that, and I brought it up in another podcast before, is like the whole like heliocentric and geocentric frame of thinking, and how the whole mass of people had to just shift their way of thinking, you know, and it's coming from a direct source, and all these sources still aren't the ones that have gone there themselves.
Yeah, that's the thing I've tripped out about. Is that
it's kind of crazy.
we only know about, like, you know, Jupiter because of a man-made object showed us, you know.
Right.
No one's actually laid eyes on it and actually been there and seen it. It's like, oh, a man-made object we sent us signals that we've computed and drawn, and these numbers that's sending us means that there's probably something here, and we've mapped out a idea of what it might look like, and it's all computer generated stuff. Like, it's really, when you actually listen to what they're saying they're doing, so you just computer generated your idea of this. And we all just go, oh yeah, it must be real, it must be exactly what they're saying. It's like, it's a man-made object sending images to a man-made object through a space that we can't go to. Like, it's an area that you're trusting that 100%. I don't know, my phone cuts out when I'm driving down the road. You know what I mean? Like, that's just words. You know, imagine trying to send pictures and, you know, and video. It does cut out. You try to live stream. It's like,
that's true.
You're terrestrially here, and they're doing stuff in areas that they've never been to. The craziest thing to me is how they sent the Mars rover, and they said the Mars rover has a probe that they're going to push, and the exact quote, they're going to stick this probe 12 feet into the surface of Mars to check the core. It's like, what? That's thousands of miles away. The Earth's core is 4,000 miles away. So Mars's core, they're about a quarter the size of, you know, Mars is roughly that. They even say it's 500 miles to their core. They're going to test it with a 12-foot rod. Like, what? We're going to see what kind of core it is. So, I don't know. I think a lot of it is people just don't have time to question things and pay attention. And when they do,
They don't.
no, yeah, they got kids, they got families, they got other stuff. They see something they've been told. The crazier things is like when you really look at the dates of like.
And you also want to pass your exam.
Of course, yeah.
Right? That's the thing about it too. It's
Yeah,
like, oh,
in
and I've
school,
learned this.
you move on to the next chapter,
and
right?
I've learned this because I got an A, so I must know this. So, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm smart enough, I got my thing here.
Right,
and then
right.
Now the next topic, and you're like, I'll put that behind me, we've advanced. And
Right.
It's like, no, you're just repeating stuff you just read to get it. And most people just, you know, I had teachers that just gave us, one of my teachers in American history class, we would walk in on a Monday, and a question would be written on the board. We would be able to write that down on Monday. We come in on Tuesday, that question's not there. Wednesday, that question's not there. Thursday, that question's not there. Friday, he would give us a pop quiz. The pop quiz was always just one question, and it was the exact question he gave us on Monday. So we had an entire week to just, and we got to use note cards for the quiz. Which means all you had to do
Be there.
was go on Monday, look at the question, go home, research it a little bit, get your answer, talk to your friends after class. What did you write down? Blah, 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 blah. You write it on your note card. You stick it in your book. Oh, quiz time. I'm done. You didn't learn nothing.
Right.
You didn't learn nothing. But you just move on to the next topic. They're like, I don't want to retire. I want to get out of here. I had another teacher that he'd tell us what question. He was a week in advance of what the
Makes his
curriculum
numbers
was gonna
look
be.
good.
Yeah, and he just, the kids like me, and I'm not, it's like, and we did like him, but it's
Right.
like, learning nothing. And some kids can go above and beyond and learn stuff, but still, a lot of the questions you ask the average person, how deep the Earth is and stuff, they don't know. How fast it's spinning, they don't know. It's like, how far is the sun away? I don't know. It's like,
Yeah, but why is any of that important?
again, and it's not that it's important.
It's interesting to know.
It's the fact that the people that will argue somebody about their ideas about what the Earth might be, or space in general, or the moon, the average individual will hear somebody, let's say they're arguing a flat earther, and they go, Earth's not flat, you're an idiot. That flat earther knows way more about the geocentric model, the heliocentric model, than the person that thinks they know about the geocentric, heliocentric model. The person that thinks they know about the Earth, we're in this universe, you start asking them questions, and they're like, I don't know. You're like, well, how are you telling me I'm wrong if you can't even answer questions about what you believe?
Well, what's something naturally flat? What's something naturally flat in the Earth?
I mean, again, these are all kinds of. There's all kinds of measurably flat things. Water specifically always finds a level.
Isn't that flat?
Water always finds its level.
It's not flat though. The water is a form like flat. I'm talking about flat. Like
My point is, water
flat would be like
level is
paper
flat.
flat. You know what I mean?
That's thin. Like,
That is true.
So flat, Nevada measures as flat as a pancake. If you literally measure geographically Nevada, it's literally as flat as a pancake. Parts of Utah, same thing. But my point is, water specifically, as you're turning that, now the water went, it always finds its level. It's always staying in a
Not the ocean.
That's the question that people have. They go, okay, now at what point does water curve? Because now there's all these high-def, high-tech cameras, Nikons and stuff that can video 10, 20, 30, 50, 60 miles. They can literally zoom in miles upon miles. And they're seeing things that theoretically you shouldn't be able to see if the Earth is curving. So people will start asking questions, how far out until the ocean starts curving? And you never get a straight answer out of anybody. It's always, light refraction and, whatever. And then Neil deGrasse Tyson, his very self, said about Felix Baumgartner, the guy that jumped from space. There's a guy that jumped and skydived, free-falled from space beyond the atmosphere. And he steps out of his thing he's in. He's in a giant, thing hanging from a balloon. They sent up into space. And he steps out and you see this giant curve. And Neil deGrasse Tyson, specifically, who's team space, team everything, he said that video was a fisheye lens. He goes, from that height, the Earth would be totally flat. You would not see curvature from that height. So anyone that says, I've flown in an airplane, I've seen a curvature, Neil deGrasse Tyson just said you haven't. Neil deGrasse Tyson said that from space, they didn't see the curvature. So people that tell you things and they want to argue points.
I skydived and I felt like I seen from afar curvature. Like I saw like.
It definitely did not.
So then what was it then?
It's eyes and.
Because I definitely saw that.
The way that just vision and assumption of things, when you actually take a measure and do all this stuff, like you're 1,000%. I have pictures from planes, and planes fly higher than skydiving planes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a
I've
fact.
skydiving a lot.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's.
But I fucking
mathematically
saw
impossible.
that shit.
You did not.
It was in my mind.
I'll shoot you the video. Neil deGrasse Tyson saying from space you don't see the curve. So
Send me that too. I'm gonna clip it in.
I don't. It's fine. He wants to. I don't have a problem if he does it, but the honesty of it would greatly diminish what I think people thought he was actually doing. And not only that, they made sure to photograph him standing there with a really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. So in the photo, you see this curvature of Earth's surface, and he said, "Wow, he's in space. Look at that." No, he's not. At that height, you don't see the curvature of the Earth if you are 2 millimeters above this beach ball. You just don't. That stuff is flat.
But yeah, no, it's wild because I've taken a lot of time to look into this kind of stuff.
Okay.
And it just gets more and more like, well, what about this? Well, what about this? And you're like, well, actually.
Well, where do you find your information?
All kinds of places.
That's the thing, though. Where? What kind of places?
One of the number one spots I went to.
Yeah.
And again, this just goes back to the things I know. I'm not trying to say what things are. Living in LA, I went to the Griffith Observatory, the official observatory in Los Angeles, the only one in the area, a very prominent, respected space place. Like, it's not a hokey tourist trap, it's like an actual observatory. I would go there and I would learn about what we learned in school. Let me learn about the heliocentric model. Let me learn about the, space and stuff.
Right.
And I'm walking around, I'm looking at their models they have in there, and all of them obviously do a scale, are all different than the next. It's like, well, to show the tides, they have to do this, but to show the moon things, they have to do this. Nothing could be in scale. And I started asking questions like, do you guys have a picture of the Earth and the moon in the same shot? Like just two little dots, like in the sky, in the same, and they're like, no. And people that worked there started getting really interesting. So I started asking, like, how do you guys learn while you're here? What kind of knowledge do you have to have before you come here? Oh, we learn while we're here. I was like, oh shit, you're here learning about stuff, and they're teaching me stuff I could just read my own.
Right.
You're not like actually educated coming in here. You're just like me. You're just interested in this. And they're like, yeah, pretty much. It's like, okay, that's interesting. And then I'm looking at like the planets, and it tells you there's little scales you can stand on. It tells you how much you weigh on that.
You're
planet,
like a spy of intelligence. you go to infiltrate. Wait, I'm sorry. Go on. Yeah.
So like I'm looking at that. It's telling me how much you weigh on these planets. It's telling you all the makeup of each planet. And on these little placards by the planets and stuff, it would tell me what the core of that planet is made out of. And I'm asking them, how could we know that? We haven't even landed on that planet.
Right.
And then going back to the other thing I was talking about with the Jupiter probe, actual information in the newspapers that people weren't following back then, because people didn't have the time. You see something in the news, you read the headline, you go, okay. And so mathematically, when the Jupiter probe left Earth and got to Jupiter, it returned with the images in half the time of what it took it to get there. And people speculate that that's because people were losing interest, they're kind of forgetting about it, and if we wait 6 more months for it to come back, no one's going to care.
How would it get there in that amount of time? And
in the 60s, when it's just a tin can blindly navigating its way through space, it's not like they're flying a high-def drone with, it's just a tin can flying through, and there's asteroid belts that somehow missed all the asteroids, didn't get hit, and it circled Jupiter and came back with images of Jupiter. That's how they say they saw Jupiter for the first time. It's like, Jupiter's so far away. And you saw the tin can in the random direction of the space.
For real.
And people just don't question because they go, oh, they're scientists. They're NASA. And then you go, okay, what are they? And they go, they're Masons. They all have Masonic rings. They're in secret societies. They're literally in secret military organizations. They're military, high-level, intelligent military people. And there's plenty of videos of the space station where it clearly looks hoax. People fade out instead of going around a corner. They'll just, no one's really paying attention to this except for the flat earthers who already look crazy. But all the average person, they're not seeing this. They just know it exists.
Okay, but all right, why flat Earth? Because
I'm not even saying anything about that. No, I just use them as an example. People argue. I'm not saying what the Earth is or isn't. Any of that. I'm not even trying to go down that road.
Okay.
I'm just saying that when I listen to that side, they have a lot of points where it's like, oh, if we can see further than we should be able to, that's interesting. And then when I talk to people at the observatory, they'll get angry if you start asking questions, and they'll tell you fucking lies. I went to the Air and Space Museum in San Diego, and they go, oh yeah, this satellite up here, that's been in space. It's like, dope. How'd you get it back? And they go, we're gonna ask Jim. Jim probably knows. We're gonna ask Jim, and then they go to this guy. Oh yeah, that's been in space. All right, cool. Get it back. Oh no. Let's go ask Charles. And then finally, I get to a 5th person.
For real?
I'm 100% serious. 100% serious. I could walk you in that museum to where that thing is still hanging to this day because I brought friends to it. And I said, the 5th guy goes, no. And actually, because I was like, did you pull it out of the ocean? Did you go up there and retrieve it?
Right.
What happened? And he goes, because it wasn't beat up. Look, it didn't really land in the ground or nothing. And he just goes, actually, it was made to go in space. It's exactly the same kind that is in space.
Right.
This one never was actually in space, though. And I went, well, that's interesting, because if not for you, I would have believed I'm looking at something that's in space, and that makes that pretty cool.
Right.
But the fact that it isn't, well, that could be anything.
Right.
And you guys are just telling people, and the average person doesn't even think to ask that question.
And it's just such a simple question to ask, too.
Yeah. And then that turns into the question of, well, how did we get off the moon? Because no one ever teaches you that either. And then they see the video of us leaving the moon, and it's like, and how did we get that video? It's analog technology, 1972. That'd be film. They digitally recorded that and sent it from the moon to here.
And also just how it goes up.
Yeah. And the camera pans with it, and it's like 1972 technology on the moon. That just seems crazy. And they've never shown that to the public unless you look for it. They don't. It's not just in a clip show somewhere where you think it would be. Like by now there'd be some kind of in the last 70 years, you know, it's like they show us leaving the Earth every time. They show us
Why
leaving
do
the
it?
Earth. Why what?
Why do it? Why do you think? Why would they do it?
Why would they?
Fake it.
Deception, I guess. That's the number one. There's some people that believe, well, if you look up the actual Jewish term NASA, like the word NASA
Is Jewish?
There is a Hebrew word,
Okay.
NASA.
Really?
It means to deceive. I'm not kidding.
I gotta look it up.
Go ahead.
What?
Yeah. But you're also going to find a bunch of people going, oh, debunked it. That NASA didn't get the name from this. It doesn't actually mean that. But there is a, you know, right now, if you look up this topic generally, you're going to find a whole bunch of stuff that's put out there to like dissuade the researching of it. But
No. I'm asking, what does it mean? Oh, what does it mean? Oh shit! Oh shit! To lead astray. That is to delude or morally to seduce, to beguile, to deceive. Wow.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's NASA with an H at the end.
Right.
NASA.
But
Yeah,
people
but
say
still,
the
like,
pronunciation. They're like,
right.
that's the thing. And then
Yeah.
if you look at the logo of NASA,
Bro.
it looks like a serpent tongue.
Yo, that's another
It's
thing.
a serpent tongue, a big red serpent tongue.
There's certain things that are weird like that, right? And also, I've had this conversation before, Con Edison, right? Like, why is it called like a con, right? It's a con, right? Like, why is it called Con Edison? Edison's the one that you know, had us basically all pay for fucking electricity when it could have been free, right? With Nikola Tesla, right? But now it's like, it's almost like a laugh. It's almost like, it's like, yeah, you gotta pay us every fucking month. You know what I mean? And it's a con. It's like Con Ed. You know what I mean? Like, why? It's a play on words that we fucking have to. No one pays it. I feel like no one really pays attention to that either. Like, it's just like, but it's also like, what the fuck?
You wanna know what's really funny?
What was that about?
You wanna know what's really funny?
Right.
Google recent picture of Pluto. You know the cartoon Pluto? You know the dog, the cartoon Pluto?
Okay.
Pull that up. Just recent picture of Pluto, cartoon
Recent
Pluto,
Picture of cartoon Pluto.
of planet Pluto.
Oh.
Yeah, and you'll see that in the planet Pluto, the picture they showed of planet Pluto, they literally have the outline of the dog Pluto. So right in here, this right there, see this bottom corner? Now, there's going to be pictures where they have the actual cartoon dog drawn over that, and that's the shape of the dog Pluto. And they're like, oh, they're literally mocking us to the point where they put the cartoon dog in the planet as the craters. Like, let me see something. Yeah, I got a. So I mean, they're mocking people in that sense too. Oh yeah, Pluto's in Pluto, you know, whatever, sure. You know?
Sure, right?
And then it's a planet, it's not a planet, it's a planet, it's not a planet. The more the information they give you, the more confused people are, the less they care because they're like, look, I got my own stuff to deal with.
Yeah,
Like I said,
exactly.
I used to sell protein powder at GNC. If I gave you 2 different brands, I can get you to buy one. If I told you about a third brand,
fucking crazy.
you're gonna go home and you're gonna be like, it's too much information. With space, it's just too much information, and people don't even think about these little details. And it seems like they're mocking you to your face. But, you know, and also NASA was started by Nazis. Werner von Braun was a Nazi. A lot of people argue, well, it doesn't mean that the Nazi party started NASA. It's like, well, the guy worked directly with Hitler, and he was like the top NASA engineer, and a bunch of Nazis did get hired on under Operation Paperclip. They brought in a bunch of Nazis to work for NASA. And they go, oh, but they were the good guys. They were Nazis. Oh, but they were scientists. They were smart. So they didn't actually kill anybody. They were Nazis. They were Nazis that worked for Nazis, that believed in Nazi stuff. And when Hitler and them guys lost, they say. You know, a lot of these people infiltrated. And now you got the World Economic Forum, which has Klaus Schwab, who definitely seems like a Nazi. And I'm pretty sure that he's connected to Nazis. I'm pretty sure that I've seen that tree somewhere. I forget the exact lineage. But the current guy that's running the World Economic Forum, which is the one that's kind of pushing all the narratives of 15-minute cities and owning nothing and being happy and things like that. There's this whole actual global elite that's currently exists. You can look them up on YouTube and you can watch their 3-hour presentations and their conferences. They air them all live on YouTube. And you can hear them talk about how we're going to a blockchain currency and how we're going to push out and we're not going to own anything and you're going to eat bugs and all this kind of stuff. And this is all the World Economic Forum. And the UN recently said we're partnering with the World Economic Forum. So the UN is now with this thing that's an unelected committee of world leaders that we don't even get to know about. And they're the ones telling us what to do. And it's like, and all that stuff's connected to NASA, to space, and that's the, well, why would they tell us this? It's like, oh, to make us think that there's more out there, to make us think that there's something else going on beyond us, that we're just tiny and insignificant. And most people that do believe in something like the flat earth believe we're our own creators of our own world, that we can manifest our own anything, whatever we want to do. This is a place to experience all senses and all feelings, and the higher elite seem to know that, so they'll use our emotion to conjure up what they want, and they use fear, they use manipulation and all that stuff. That's the theory. And then it's like, it goes even deeper to say that they're drinking baby blood, that they scare the shit out of
what does
babies.
that have? Why would that have to do with anything? Like, what the fuck is that about?
Well, that's a whole thing that, like, even Monsters, Inc. kind of gets to that, where they're, like, scaring the kids and drinking their fear. And the theory is, with adrenochrome, which I don't even know if you can put this stuff on the internet nowadays, is that the elites are drinking blood from infants like that and just getting more youthful, and that's how they stay kind of young and vital, you know, in their earlier or later days. And on the Ellen show, I forget who it is, Sandra Bullock was on Ellen, and she said that her skincare routine was skincare made up of the circumcised clippings of Asian kids or something like that. And she says on Ellen, like, yeah, it's, you know, and they're like, oh, they're using baby, what? And it's like this weird elite stuff. When all this stuff is coming out now with P. Diddy, and we already knew it with the Harvey Weinstein, Hollywood, people are kind of figuring out there, and now the music industry is being exposed. Like, it's all being exposed.
Right. Cat Williamson did say is the year of truth. Do you think that there's some truth to that?
Oh, I mean, like, yeah, people.
Or is it just the time now because, like, all the information has just been, like, caught up?
Too much access to information now. There's people can actually speak their mind in real time and be heard, and it's just you can't hide that kind of stuff anymore, I don't think. And yeah, people have spoken out. There's a lot of weird stuff that have happened over time that, you know, people wrote off as crazy, and now it's all coming into fruition. Yeah, it's coming into, like, oh wow, those parties really did happen. That kind of ritualistic type stuff. And if that's happening, I'm pretty sure those people don't believe in the fact that we're a random accident floating in space. You know, I don't think magic and rituals would work in that scenario. I think magic and rituals would work in a realm. You know, if you're in a, that phrase is used a lot, and it's kind of like intergalactic type, or, you know, whatever. It's like it's a realm, and it's like that's just, you just are in this little area of experience, whatever, and then that shit, that voodoo type, whatever. But like if it's just like a big rock hit another rock, and we spun off, and then a lizard came out of the water, and it's like, and now somehow we can do voodoo. It's like, what the fuck? What? How does that? What? No, that doesn't make any goddamn sense. That's even crazier. The fact that prayer would work if we came from a lizard out of the water, like that's crazy. You know what I mean? If you're like, oh yeah, we evolved, and I can pray to God, you know, it's like, well, how does one equal? Necessarily, if there's a creator, and then that one, why would the evolution thing happen? Then why wouldn't it be a creator? You know?
But why couldn't there be a creator and evolution?
I don't think it would move that slowly.
What do you mean?
Like in terms of how they describe how many years it would take for things to happen. I don't think a creator would be like, you know, unless in their time frame it's a lot different, whatever. And that definitely could be the case. And like there could be beings around us that we don't even acknowledge. Like somebody brought up a good point about like a dog. Like a dog, how old were you when you got your dog?
How old was I?
Yeah.
This was 3 years ago, so I was 26.
And let's say,
3.5 years ago, almost 4 years ago.
you know, best case scenario, 15-year lifespan of a dog, and generally, you know, 10, 15
Well,
years.
big dogs like that, usually like 8 to 10,
But-
unfortunately.
And that's my point. I mean,
That's
I'm
the
trying
saddest
to
thing.
trying to be optimistic in that
Thanks.
sense, but think of how much different you'll look in 5 years. Not much different. You can look exactly the same in 5 years, you know? So your dog that's lived its puppy to elderly life will see you as a never-changing, immortal being. Your dog will see you as someone that hasn't changed much physically. You haven't grown much since it's known you. You haven't changed
Right.
any bit that way. You'll
That's
look
true.
exactly the same for the 10 years of that dog's life. You could literally look this exact way for
Right.
10 years. And that dog just lives its life going, these beings are just here forever.
Right.
They have no concept that we die and get older and younger and, you know, it's
Until
a dog's
because
lifespan isn't really...
but the thing is that you never seen those videos where it's like the owner dies and the dog is always still
Yes.
living and
Yeah, absolutely. But it didn't see its owner as a baby.
okay, yes,
It didn't witness the
You're right.
it only
You're
knew
right.
the
I see
owner
what
as
you're saying with that.
as that version of the owner. Like,
It's on
in an
at that
animal's
period.
lifespan, we don't change all that much unless you want to change your exterior appearance, but you don't age and grow to that degree. You know, like a turtle would witness you having that kind of thing, but a dog, and so like I'm saying for us,
A
there might
preteen
be-
to an adult, they'll see that change.
yeah, in that kind of a world, yeah. But the majority of people, like if you get a dog as an adult, whatever, I'm just using
Right.
that as an example.
I got you.
Of just how like you know, so if we come into life at a certain time, what being do we not even acknowledge as aging or as doing anything that in our lifespan is only a 5-year or 5-day or whatever? It's like they're just like looking at a little petri dish, you know, like so that could be the thing, you know, obviously in that case. But I still don't think that would create random balls flying around, random balls orbiting a random thing. I don't think a creator would be like, and then life is on that one, you know. I just zooming into this little Earth and all right. I don't know
Why?
a creator scenario. That seems
Well,
crazier.
Some say that life, it is kind of like a lottery for it to be existing, right? Because it has to be it has to exist in the Goldilocks zone. It has to be, that's what, has been told to us, right?
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then, I feel like it is possible that there's life outside of here, for sure. It's just like, it's hard.
But that would just mean it's a random accident.
Or maybe what kind of life?
And in that case, I don't believe that there would actually be a creator.
And who's to say that maybe like also, that there can't be life in these other planets just because we think that life can't be on these planets. You know what I mean? There
again,
could be
going back to
different
the thing
types
of
of
we've
life.
never been able to check them out.
Right.
But also too, like just the fact of like we would have found that kind of stuff by now. You know, if we had the ability. Like, why don't we have drones flying around the surface of the moon right now, checking out and
Like what's going on, right? Like a
really
like a 24-hour live stream,
and
right?
And they're like, oh, it just doesn't matter. They don't need to. It's like, but they could. They have the budget to, and they could do really cool things with that.
Right.
Why hasn't there been any spacewalk astronauts that have been outside the space station that have been like, hey, the camera, check it out. There's the Earth. There's the moon. Here's me. Like
Right.
they're always so like rigid and linear in how they film stuff. There's never like a 360 that you can check. And by now you'd think that there would be with all this, So, but again, a lot of people don't have the ability to even question or look into or fact check them on stuff, and they just go, they won't lie to us. Why would they lie? Why would they lie? And then somebody can't give you an exact motive. And they go, well, you don't know, obviously. They're not lying.
What do you
'cause
know?
don't know.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, well, why would I know the motive? I don't know the motive. I can just tell you what doesn't seem like it's lining up. And a lot of that is seems to be pretty consistent, but, I don't
With
know.
everything in life, you mean? With politics and with just the way we live life in general? I mean, it's still better than a lot of other countries, right?
Sure. Oh,
but,
yeah. I mean, yeah.
But I see where you're going with this. It's just it's a matter of what the truth is important to you and how is it going to help you and your family, right? Because at the end of the day, for most people, like I feel like most people are not really like even interested in what we're talking about
They're
right here in this.
survival
Yeah,
mode.
they're
They're
talking about.
survival there,
Right.
and we just gotta stick in our own world, and that's
That's
totally
also
cool. I mean,
it's cool, but it's also what causes the separation, right? and the separation, the constant limbo, if you will, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, ignorance is bliss kind of stuff, where you can, if you're not looking and thinking of all that kind of stuff, you're just watching what's on TV for half a second. Is this cake? I don't know. All right, kids, go to bed, and they're just...
The eyes are closed, right?
Yeah.
It's easier to not really pay attention to anything when you're not having to.
Yeah.
Some shit. Yo, there's a part in the podcast, that I have where I ask the individual, is there any question that you would like to give me that I can go into the public and ask that question?
Yeah, and last time I didn't have an answer for that either.
You gave me.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
You gave me, and it was at the end, too. You gave me, the question was like, why are you still wearing, you said go up to somebody that's still wearing a mask and ask them why they're still wearing a mask. I got it. Is there this guy, bro? He is funny. You got let people know, where do you usually perform at?
Generally, I'm at Broadway Comedy Club every Sunday night at 11. And then kind of varies through there. I'm performing at Sunflower Cafe on next Sunday. What's next Sunday? Like the 28th? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll be there. And that's a smoker's lounge, actually, where you can go downstairs and actually smoke weed in the establishment.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Speakeasy spot.
Where is it at?
On Thompson.
Okay. Thompson and what?
Sunflower Lounge.
So, like, what number? I know Thompson.
Yeah, I don't know. It's down there by, like, just same area as...
So, like, near Soho, right?
Yeah, same area as, like, the Grizzly Pear.
Okay.
That same, just a couple blocks over from there. So whatever that is by, I don't know the cross streets. But
That's cool. Talk to me about a recent show that you have.
I've had a few of them. I've had, we did a show at a Barcelona bar at 4 p.m. last Sunday. That was kind of cool. It was a mid-afternoon show for people that were in there. Mm-hmm. And I've done Broadway Comedy Club a couple times, but nothing too wild or crazy from those standard 5-minute sets. I don't know. I feel like that's just kind of I need to get back on the road. I haven't done the road for a while, and those are where the stories come in and it really gets fun.
Yeah.
Like, I miss that.
So, when are you going to do that? What's holding you back from doing it?
I just never leave New York. There's too much stuff happening here. Like, I'm so, like, caught up in the, just the
rat
surfing
race
around the city and, like, always something happening. I was in Times Square today and some dude comes running through, hundreds of people behind him. And, I was like, what the hell's going on here? This dude apparently just ran across the country. His name's Paul Johnson. He started in L.A. He ran across the country. He finished today in Times Square. And I just so happened to get the video of him.
Oh, shit.
I got the video of him as he's entering in, and I was like, oh, that was random. That's, what? All right. Cool.
He ran across...
ran across the country. That's 3,000 miles or whatever. Yeah. And it took him 52 days.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's just like, that's... and again, that's something in New York, like, you just, so whenever, like, I could go somewhere else, I'm horrible at booking myself. Yeah. I'm horrible at booking myself. I'm horrible at, like, reaching out to places and, like, sending things, and I just need to get more up-to-date videos. And that managerial side of it, I don't like that part of it. I'm lazy when that comes to that. And then that mixed with the fact that every day in New York City is something different, and my brain goes, all right, I could leave New York and go to a different area and meet some other comics and get to know people out there and do some shows, or I can hang out in Manhattan. And everyone, it's like, that's like the center of it. It's I'm already here. Why would I go somewhere where it's just be like, all right, I gotta spend more money out here, I get to know people, and then my brain just goes like, I'm like locked into
where you're at, right?
Manhattan, in the sense that where we are at right now and how quick it is to get downtown and how, like.
But like you were saying before, that's where the stories come in, right?
Absolutely, and that's kind of where, like, I just need to get to the point where I book a flight back somewhere else and start doing what
Do you feel like you gotta book a flight and then just stay there?
I don't know. Like, I'm not excited about the summertime here. The humidity and the gross
disgusting.
mugginess. Yeah, I'm not excited about that. I'd kind of like to go somewhere else. But I don't know. Like, everything's so, like, I'm kind of day by day. And I was that way in LA, where I got to LA and I was like, I'll probably be here a couple months. And I was there 5 years. And the only reason I left is because the world shut down. Everything shut down. I was like, all right, well, I got to leave. And New York has more going on than LA does. New York has, the only thing LA has over New York is the weather. You get beautiful weather every day. But as far as something to do, it's like you can do way more in New York with way less. Like, cost of living here is high and all that stuff, yeah, but like you can leave your house and you know, $2 worth of subway ride or hop in the turnstile, or you can get anywhere. Anywhere, you know, in the city, and then you're in a totally different area, and you can make things happen. Where in LA, you got to get in a car.
You have to have a car.
And that takes you forever. You can take 3 hours to get from one spot to another because of traffic. Where here, it's pretty consistent, unless something, you know, someone jumps over a track or whatever. But it's pretty consistent. You're going to get somewhere within your 15-minute train window.
Typically, yeah. You have your days. That's the fact. Yeah. You have your days, and you're just like, fuck the MTA.
Yeah.
But then you don't think about all the other times that it was just.
You're just so fluid.
Regular.
Yeah.
You're right.
You get off one train, you go bump, 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 bump. Yeah, I mean, it's just like those days exist every day in LA where you're just stuck in traffic. You're like, oh my God, a guy's jumping off a bridge again. Oh my God. You just
It's like that? That's how it be?
Yeah, you're just sitting in traffic for an hour. You're like, the guy better have jumped. Oh, he better have jumped. Oh my God, dude. If he didn't jump, I'm going to find him. I'm going to find him. Because you're sitting there stuck for an hour because they're just negotiating with him.
Guy.
You're just like, come on, man. And that happens so much in LA. Just, you know. Also in that too, LA is a way different place than it was 5 years ago.
So fucked up.
Like, everything's shutting down out there. Nothing's open. Stores in Hollywood are closed. It's, you know, but.
That reminds me because I got hit by a bus when I was younger, so like I think about I probably got mad people late to work that day.
Right. Sorry. Yeah. There's definitely been times that you're like, I'm the reason that.
Yeah.
I was. This is a completely random change of a thing, but Bone Thugs and Harmony. Mm-hmm. I've gone to a few of their concerts, and they're always late to stage. They're always like. Supposed to be on stage at 9 o'clock. They show up at midnight. They just don't care about the audience. They're just bad. People get pissed. I've seen them get ice thrown in their face by fans.
They're bad? They're not good?
They're good performers, but they're bad businessmen and time management guys.
Oh, okay.
Like, they'll always, currently, one of the members was supposed to have an album come out the other day, and he just hasn't even announced it. And like, they've never been able to stay on a schedule. If Bone has ever said an album's coming out, everyone knows it's going to be 6 to 8 months later. Like, they're horrible people in terms of, not horrible people, but horrible time management and that kind of thing, whatever.
Well, shit goes on in life too.
Yeah, but no, they're, and I can tell you, I'm going somewhere with the story.
Okay.
So they come to Seattle to perform, and I seen that they were on a show, and I was like, I've already seen them perform before, or whatever. I don't really need to go. And then I heard that their show got sold out, and they added a second show, but they added an early show. So I was like, oh shit, I'll go to the early show. They can't be late for that one. You know, because they got a second show and whatever. Sometimes Bone will send a different representative that's not one of the 5 that will represent them as a group that contractually obligate them being there. Sometimes they do shit like that, and they didn't hit the stage for a while in that early show, and I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna bail on this. They're not even gonna show for the early show. This sucks. Yeah. They end up showing up.
Oh, okay, dope.
And I was like, okay. And then on stage with them was a photographer that was a guy that I knew through the weed company I worked for. So when they get off stage and they're kicking everyone out of the club because they got to reset for the next show, I go up to the photographer guy and I was like, yo, what, you know, you're with Bone? That's crazy. You know, can you introduce me? And I was trying to make a fan. He goes, I don't know. I got all my weed in my car because I was working for a weed company. He goes, go get it. So I bring it and he introduced me to a guy, and then this guy walks me backstage. And I'm like, all right. So now I'm sitting backstage with my weed, and now Bone comes back there, and I'm chopping it up with Lazy, Flash. Like, literally, I got pictures of all this stuff too, like where I'm just like, we're smoking and everything. And keep in mind, they have a late show. Now, a guy comes busting in the green room. He goes, you guys, it's 12:30. You were supposed to be on stage an hour ago. Get out there. And I'm back there going, I'm the reason they're late this time. I knew they were going to be late for that performance.
That's funny.
And I'm literally the reason. There was no other reason.
Yeah.
They probably would have had a different weed guy. I don't know. But
Yeah.
there was no one else back there that was the weed guy.
Right.
I was the only option they had. And it was so weird where I'm like, and I am so I went out to the show. I come up from the green room, and I'm standing in the back of the showroom, you know, Bones on stage way in the front. And I'm behind the crowd going, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So sorry. I didn't mean it. It was my fault this time. I knew they were going to be late. I just didn't know it was going to give it to me. Like, that was so weird.
Nah, but see, shit happens in life.
Yeah, it was one of the most, like, you know, I don't know. It was dope. And then a few years later, I ran into Busy Bone at the Comedy Store in L.A. And he was like, man, I told him that story. I mean, we've met before. He's like, you need to write a movie about your life called Uber Weed.
Uber weed. That's funny as shit. Would you find yourself in a movie? Do you see yourself in a movie?
I mean, I've been extras in them or whatever. I've been, like, in stuff to that degree, but not, like, acting.
No, like some comedy shit.
I always said if I was going to be in something, it'd be because my friend or somebody that wrote a movie for me to be in it. Like, I don't know if I'll go audition for a part, you know, like
Why
that
not?
kind of thing. I don't like that process. It's weird. I've done a couple auditions in LA, and it's just not for me. I'm really bad at, like, all right, let's role play this right now. If, like, the camera's rolling, like, all right, we got to act like this in real time, I can do that, and I can get a genuine response, and I can think of the moment, but, like, I can't take any of the other stuff serious. So it's really hard. Like, just anything that comes with acting, rehearsing, learning lines, memorizing stuff. Like,
To get it good.
Yes. If I could be in something if someone was like, all right, this is a part written for you, and we know, these are the lines. We're going to read them to you. You're going to read them. You know, I could do that kind of thing. And, like, I believe that will happen over time. Like, but I'm not really pursuing that at the moment.
Yeah.
But I do have a lot of ideas of movies and screenplays and stuff that I want to get out there in the world. But yeah, I miss being on set in Hollywood. Like, that kind of stuff was dope. Like, I used to work as an extra on a lot of stuff where I was like, you know, you're not getting lines, but you're
Getting paid?
yeah. And you know, I was a stand-in for Gerard Butler. I was you can see me in the movie Bumblebee and Transformers.
What?
Where I'm like in a shot with John Cena and a couple Transformers. I'm like, dog, I'm in a movie with Transformers. Like, yeah, I don't have lines, but if you're watching, like, that's fucking Darren. You know?
That's fucking Darren.
And I've had some friends that have sent me pictures and stuff of TV. They're just randomly watching a show and they're like, yo, is this you? I'm like, it is. And then I have a lot of friends send me pictures of people that aren't me. Yo, I saw you in the show. I'm like, that's
not me.
Sorry, man. You know, and I'm like, it does kind of look. Yeah, I can see it, but I never did that. You know. But yeah, there's a lot of. I've had people that have found me on TV with Jim Carrey, like ice skating on a TV show with Jim.
Was
Carrey.
that you?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a TV show called Kidding, where he plays like a Mr. Rogers character.
Okay.
And they were like, all right, in this universe, like, Jim Carrey's playing a character that you guys would have grown up watching on TV. So when he comes in here, kind of, you know, look his way and acknowledge, like, you recognize him. And I'm like, pretend Jim Carrey showed up? Like, we did grow up with this guy, you know? It is really easy to do this. This isn't even acting. You know, it's just like, oh, shit, it's Jim Carrey. We just call him Mr. Pickles, you know? It's like, same thing.
Well, they wanted to, like, give it more of a hype to the Mr. Pickle
They were just
character?
like, if you didn't know who Jim Carrey was, you know, some people don't know him, and, you know, they're just like giving laying out what the scene is.
Yeah, I
you
feel
know?
like everyone knows who Jim Carrey is.
Right.
So you've been in a lot of different, like, shows and movies.
Yeah.
That's dope. How'd you get yourself into that? Like, how'd you even apply? You know what I mean?
I was just living in LA, and one of my roommates had a calling service. Like, you can self-apply yourself, like Central Casting and a bunch of different, like, you can do it in New York here and stuff too. But in LA, they have these, like, calling
Doesn't that cost
services.
money, though?
Some things do. And, like, I paid $80 a month for this lady to find me gigs, and she found me more than $80 worth of gigs.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I was always working. Whatever days I wanted to work, I was pretty much consistent.
Dope.
To the point where, like, I was a regular on Grey's Anatomy a lot. Like, that show, I was on set more than I was using. I mean, I was just, like, there in case they need me. Or, like, some shows like SEAL Team. I was on SEAL Team, which is a show about Navy SEALs, and because I had more of a beard, and if you have an actual beard, they liked you.
But the times you had to be more, like, dependent. Well, not like you have to be more lenient with your time, right?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, you just, you let them know what days you're open and able to work, and if you're able to work, they might have you come in at 4 a.m. and keep you till 11 p.m. You told them you're available, but sometimes you're there for an hour or two. Really quick days and.
What are the long days like? What are you doing?
Sitting
Standing around?
Yeah, a lot of hurry up and wait. A lot of get here early, but we don't need you till late tonight. We just need to make sure you're here.
What the fuck is that about?
They're just keeping their ducks in a line, and they look at you as a prop, and they just want to make sure that what they need is there, and their inventory is set, and all right, everything, and maybe we'll need you, because sometimes they're like, oh, well, we're going to rearrange some scenes or whatever, and you never really know. One of the things I liked about Grey's Anatomy is it was so well oiled that, like, we would have times that we'd show up there 8 in the morning, and do a couple scenes, and then they have to turn everything around, and then maybe they're doing some dialogue that doesn't include background actors and whatever, and but they're going to be doing a long day. They would tell us, hey, it's 11 p.m. We're not going to need you guys until like 4. Let's go ahead and call lunch from noon to 1, but see you guys at 4. And then we could just leave set. And that set was down in part of Hollywood that was pretty close to everything else. Like, it was right down. Like, some things if you're in holding, you're out miles away from anything. But this was like a studio that was like close to everything, like where my weed shop was and stuff. So I would leave the studio and go run my errands in my Grey's Anatomy scrubs. Like, and I literally looked like a doctor. And I walked into to my weed shop, and the girl goes, she didn't know I was an extra or anything like that.
She thought you were a doctor.
But what she said, she goes, oh my God, you look like someone from Grey's Anatomy. Yeah. And I pulled my name badge, and I go, check at the hospital. Yeah. Grace Sloan Memorial. And she was like, no way. And in her world, the TV doctor literally walked into her store. Like, I'm literally wearing a name tag. Like, it's a real hospital. But the show, excuse me, the craziest part about Grey's Anatomy was my first time I walked on set. Was I didn't know anything about the show, and I didn't know where it took place. I never watched it. I walk on the lot and I see a police car drive past that I recognized. I was like, all right, but it wasn't an LAPD police car. It was a Seattle police car, and I was like, wait a minute. I lived in Seattle. And the
that's
car,
why you recognize it.
Yeah, the car looked familiar to me, but I was like, wait, I'm in LA right now. Why is there a Seattle PD? And I didn't think anything of it. And then I go through the wardrobe and stuff, and then I walk onto set, and set is like, their hospital and stuff. And they have these paintings on the wall that are these like not tulip, but there's a tribe in Washington called Tulalip, and their style is kind of a linear whales and these like interesting drawings. Okay. And I noticed these paintings, like, oh, this feels like Seattle, man. Then I looked on the table, and there's Seattle Weekly magazine sitting there. I was like, what the fuck? And I'm like, what is it? They go, yeah, the show takes place in Seattle. I'm like, oh, yeah, of course it did. I really feel like I'm in Seattle, man. Like, wow. And there was another show called, I think it was Shooter, and they have a show that takes place in Seattle. Again, I walked into set, and I didn't know it took place in Seattle. I didn't know anything about the show. And I'm sitting in this FBI office. I'm like an FBI agent, and I'm like looking out their fake windows. I'm ground level to where I walked in. We haven't gone upstairs or anything, whatever. We're ground level in a studio, and I'm sitting in an office chair, and I'm looking at this fake window, and it looks like I'm in a high rise looking out at some water. And I looked across at this other window, so we're in a corner office, and I'm like, that's the Columbia Tower. This is the Puget Sound. Like, I recognize, I could have told you exactly what street that fake building was on. And they're like, yeah, this takes place in Seattle. I'm like, no, yeah. You did a good job,
I got
man.
that.
I feel like I'm in a high-rise in Seattle, and I'm ground level. Like, I feel like I'm looking at the Puget. That's, you guys nailed it, But whenever Grey's Anatomy wanted me to be like a visitor, when I started growing my hair out, they stopped casting me as a doctor, and they started casting me as like a visitor. And they'd always have you bring multiple wardrobe changes, just so the wardrobe person could pick out what looks good on you and stuff. And they were like, dress like a, Seattle, just think Seattle. And literally anything I was wearing that day, I would just go in dressed as that without any other options. And they were like, yeah, you look fine. I go, I know. I am literally a person that's walked the street of Seattle wearing this. I literally have been to Seattle in these clothes. You can't tell me I don't look like a person from Seattle. I'll show you my driver's license. It was a Washington driver's license, too.
What's the style in Seattle?
And just like flannel and, you know, maybe layers. Like that would work just because of, you know, Columbia, the whole look like you're hiking kind of stuff. I don't know. They just have their idea of whatever. But to me, I was like, no matter what I'm wearing, anything that I owned when I lived in Seattle, that's my license. My driver's license still was a Seattle driver's license. It was like, you can't tell me I don't look like, you know, a visitor from Seattle. People could have actually gone to Seattle and seen me.
Imagine like you're to Seattle. I don't know.
Yeah, right. I can just imagine someone watching Grey's Anatomy and seeing me going, that hospital really is in Seattle. I've been to Seattle.
I know
saw
that guy.
Yeah. He used to deliver me weed. Did I ever tell you that last time I sold weed to 2 Chainz in Seattle? The rapper 2 Chainz?
You sold weed to 2 Chainz?
Yeah.
How the fuck did you... Wait, I think you did tell me that, but how did that happen?
A couple of his road guys were trying to get into a weed store to buy weed for him, and that store had just closed. It was a 7 o'clock closing or whatever, and it was right across from a comedy club that a friend of mine was going into at 7 o'clock. Just the timing. And he sees these guys trying to get this. Oh, sorry guys, it's closed. I got a friend that sells weed though, and he calls me up. Hey, I got some people looking for weed, and he was just looking out for me.
Nice.
And it was just happened to be 2 Chainz, and you know,
Nice.
like I went to the bus, and and he still follows me on Twitter.
Nice. That's what's up. Hell yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, I mean, you meet people, and they're dope. They don't really care about like even like what you do. Really, they're just like they just care about that moment. You know, that moment that you met them, and it's just like, all right, dope. When is a time that you met someone on the road and you're just like, yo, I'll never forget this person?
Oh, I mean,
I know it's happened many times, but it's just like, think back in your memory bank, something that just like happened that, I don't know, you learned from that moment or something changed, and you probably never seen that person again.
I mean, dude, I mean, we're supposed to, like, just a regular person? Like, I mean, I don't know, I've been to many places, man. Like, the other day, I just kind of showed a guy how much of an idiot he was in terms of his own racism. I hope he learned from me.
Okay, but that's not my question. It's more so like what you learned from them.
Yeah, I don't know. Just had to learn stuff every day to a point. But I mean, I never locked people in my brain like that as to how I've learned from them. You know, but like, yeah, I don't know.
Word.
I don't
No,
know
that's
how to
cool.
answer that.
Yo, do you still not have a question?
Well, you never told me the answers for the people when you asked them.
The answer with the girl, she said.
Oh, you put it on the part of the podcast.
Yeah, put it on the podcast. Yeah, it's like towards the end. Like, what she say? She said something about how she was sick and she just didn't want to get anyone else sick.
Oh, well, that's it.
Man, it was like something simple. it was cool. Yeah, she was nice about it too. But yeah, all right. How about now? Do you have a different question?
What would you do if money wasn't an object?
That's a good question. Nah, I don't like that one.
Yo, so if money wasn't an object, what would you do?
My simple answer to that is, if money wasn't an object, I would buy anything I would want to do, because, you know, money doesn't exist.
So you'll buy anything you would want to do?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, bro.
There we go.
I don't know, man. Yeah, I guess that's like. You know.
What would you do?
I mean, I'm kind of doing it. Just kind of living life like I would, you know. I think the average person would answer travel. I think the average person would be like, oh, I'd travel more, or I'd, you know. But like, it's a question more so designed to find someone's passion, like what they should actually be doing instead of the job they have. You know, like when people are like, oh, I got to work at Walgreens. Like, what would you do if money wasn't an object? Oh, I'd like to travel, but travel doing what? What would you? I'd fucking
Just be
archery.
there?
It's like, oh, archery. Have you ever thought about teaching archery classes? Oh, wow. You know, and it could take someone to, you know, what you want to do, and then obviously make a career out of it. You know, everything. And like for me, it was like, I want to travel. I was like, how would I want to travel? Oh, if I did comedy, I could travel. You know, and it flows in that way of like, you get to do what you would do, you know. But I think also too, like having that mindset of being a get-to person instead of a have-to person. Like you get to do certain things instead of you have to. And a lot of people are like, I have to do X, Y, Z, and they just feel so trapped, and they don't ever feel like they get to do anything. And it's like, well, especially in New York, you get to see New York, you get to do, you know, it's all that little stuff that, like I work in Times Square selling tickets for comedy clubs, and people are like, oh, this is awful. It's like, you get to hang out in Times Square all day.
Right.
All of these people plan for months to see this, for 5 minutes, for an hour. You know, they wanted to just lay eyes on it. We drove through New York. We had to come see it. We were getting out of here. We're only passing through, and they had to see it. And you get to be down here. You know, cheer up, man. You know, it's like, you know, but too many people in that have to, because they're so restricted and they don't really get to imagine things. And going back to all the questioning stuff and thinking about space and thinking about all that stuff, they don't get to do any of that because they're so like, you know. But it's like, if money wasn't an object, would you be a little more mentally free and able to question things, you know? And
well, what would you, I mean, like, do with that freedom, you know? Not only that, right? Because I think it kind of goes back to what you were saying, that you need to have a passion of some sort. Because that passion is really a driving force, I feel like, for everyone if they find it. Because if you're just existing, then that's cool too, but I feel like there's more to life when you're being driven by something that is yours, you know?
I
It's
use
yours.
the garden analogy of like, if you have a garden, there's certain things you need to do to make sure the crops stay healthy. No matter what the crops are, it doesn't matter what the crops could be, you have to do certain things. And that's tending to it, watering it, and number one thing is you got to pull the weeds out of that garden. You can't have weeds in that garden if you want your crops to be the most vibrant, the most healthy. You have to pull the weeds because the weeds just suck nutrients from the crop and they don't provide anything in return. The average person that's just working a job is a weed. They are just sucking off a system. Give me my minimum wage. Give me this. I want my hourly. I want to do this. I don't want to provide. They're not a crop. They're not a flower. They're not a plant. They're not a vegetable. They're not anything. They're not an artist, you know, and that's the point of like anyone that does any little degree of art, no matter what it is, any kind of, you know, even volunteering kind of stuff is like artful kind of stuff. You're helping in that kind of world, but like, you know, because you can do art at different levels. It doesn't have to be paintings. It doesn't have to be music. It doesn't have to be comedy. It doesn't have to be, you know, whatever it is, though, producing something. And crops produce something, whether it's beauty or whether it's food. You have your plant for that reason. Don't be a weed. You know what I mean? Like, and most people are just living life like a weed. It's like, well, all right, well, weeds get exterminated. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. And then when, you know, things come through that wipe out people or, you know, lock down certain classes and mentally people, it's like they're kind of just weeds getting put away, you know, it's like, and then the crops, no matter what they are, and you kind of see that in the elites and stuff, how they're living. They clear their life of the weeds, you know, and they're just, you know, the average person is unfortunately, you know, very entitled, and they feel like they need to be given without
Working for it.
yeah, or, you know, it's better to give than to receive. And they're like, yeah, give me mine first. I look like that person. I deserve that too. I should be able to flaunt the same lifestyle no matter what it is. And, you know, it's like, I don't know, man. You know, it seems like you're a weed right now. You know?
It seems like you're a weed right now. I see what you're saying. Yeah, you got to go through the cycles. It's wild to escape it. And
yeah, everyone's locked into it, or everyone's programmed in a way. Like, just talking to someone earlier about like how they're like kind of realizing like, oh, I personalize the media I watch. So I see TV and I relate to something. I start feeling these ways, one way or the other, good or bad. And it's like a lot of that's negative influence. When you watch a lot of TV shows, I've never watched the show. I understand the show, but Game of Thrones, and I asked General on Facebook, hey, I don't care if you like the show or don't like the show. I'm sure if you watch the show, how does it make you feel? And even people that liked it were always like, oh, I like it. It's like, okay, but how does it make you feel? I mean, I don't know. I mean, anxious. My favorite character died. It's there's incest. It's uncomfortable. Would I enjoy it? It's like, all right. What you just said is you enjoy being uncomfortable, feeling disappointed, feeling this. It's entertaining to you,
Right.
and you now are
It's the
attracting more
ethos.
of that in your own life. And then something will happen at work where it's like, I don't like drama. It's like, yeah, you do. Let me look up your Netflix queue.
Exactly.
I bet you it's all drama. I bet
Right.
you it's all crime stuff. I bet you
Right.
it's all like doom and gloom, scared. Oh my God, because that's entertaining too. Entertaining can be
So many different
any of those
levels.
things.
Yeah.
It's just what you're putting in your life and
What do you find entertaining?
people falling down.
Yeah, I see the shit. I
watch-
see your reaction videos. Your shit, you be like, ooh, your face.
I watch ridiculousness all the time. Like when I was like stuck with the hospital and I had stomach surgery and I had to watch TV. Ridiculousness. I can watch that all day long. People
With Rob
slamming.
Dyrdek?
Yeah, people slamming, running into things. It's just boom, boom, boom. I can all damn day.
Why?
I don't know. Because I relate. I've done all of it. I've done all anything I'm laughing at has happened to me. I'm like,
What?
jeez. Yeah, and like but I don't know why. That's probably one of the easiest ways to like, get my
Release?
But certain kind of joke. There's not a lot of. I don't have a lot of the same humor that other people do. I find I watch a lot of movies that people are laughing at. I'm like, Then I'm just laughing hysterically at.
Something fucked up?
There was one. Just a passing. It was like on a commercial of a show, and I forget the guy's name. He's very monotone, very weird guy, and he said, at the grocery store, a fully baked cooked chicken was $3 less than a cold one, and he didn't want to consider why. And it just made me laugh for like a half hour. I couldn't figure out why. It was just this weird way he said it, and like the fact that a different price and why is this one that much, and I don't even want to think about why. And I just lost it. But like, yeah, I don't know.
No, I can understand that.
But
I find certain things funny that other people don't find funny. I don't know. It's just you find, everyone has a different level of humor.
yeah,
But then there's also people, certain comedians that just make everybody laugh.
there's
Right?
definitely those that.
Who do you
Some
say
people
some?
say is universal, but even still, I don't know. I don't know if there really is any universal comedians nowadays because there's so much controversy where people are like, I don't want to like them.
Oh, I see what
because
you're
of-"
saying.
Like so many people could easily be like, well, Dave Chappelle, but then there's a lot of people like, I don't know. I've heard a lot of people are like, current Chappelle's too preachy, this and that. Then the whole trans thing where like, oh, he's just hateful and he's just like, you can't. I don't think there is just one uniform.
There's not someone that can make.
General comedian.
No?
Like, Brian Regan might be in that
Gabriel
pocket.
Iglesias?
He definitely has that commercial appeal and funny factor, just who he is. And like a Brian Regan, I feel like is very clean and goofy enough, but like, I don't even know if he crosses all the borders of, Gabriel Iglesias, he's
a good example.
Yeah, I've never seen him. I've seen him once live, and he was crushing it. Yeah, I think he's so.
Where'd you see him?
Comedy Store.
Dope.
Yeah.
He's funny, man. He's
sort of
fucking
all the
hilarious.
drama too. There's no like negative about him. He just likes his buses. Yeah, no, I saw a lot of people at the Comedy Store in LA.
The thing is like, I don't know. People just be hating on shit a lot and be hating on people too. And I think that's what starts a lot of like ego, weird shit. That's why I give a lot of credit to comedians because they fight through all that in an interesting way. Like successful ones, right?
Sure.
Like the ones that truly make a living off of it and just like conquer through. Like I feel like you have to go through so many different types of hurdles. Just like any other artist, I guess, but I feel like with comedy it's different because you have to make people laugh. Like that's literally, and I hear like there's this whole metric to seeing how funny a comedian is based off time and how many laughs they get within that time.
Yeah, your laughs per minute, and you want to get a laugh in the first 30 seconds. You want to get someone that they know that they can trust you to make them laugh. If you have a really, really, really long setup for not that good of a payoff, and that's your opening joke, people are just like, oh my God, what are we doing here? But you want to let them know right away, like, all right, here's where I'm at. Stand-up comedy is a weird form of like hypnosis. You have to get the audience to think like you in a weird way. You have to get them to see your point of view and agree with it. You know? And it's like, you only have a short amount of time.
But how about Patrice O'Neal, like, for example, right?
Sure.
He didn't give a fuck if you agree with it or not. It was still funny.
No, not like agree with me completely, but just see your point of view, to laugh with you on things. And yeah,
I see what you're
Patrice,
saying.
like, you know, if it's not funny, you know, it's just, they're just not with you, and that happens. But you got, you know, yeah, I think that there's, even in that moment, they're like, all right, yeah, you know, you got to just get them to see your point of view, and it's weird. That's how you really own a crowd. But yeah, when you're out there, some crowds are not your audience. They're not your, you know, they're just a general group of people, and there's no way that you can get them to see your point of view, and they're just not going to enjoy you.
No.
But once you start getting your audience, they come to the show, they already know how you think. Dave Chappelle can go on stage in a room full of his fans, and he can just go, word? And the people will die because they know that Chappelle has already proven himself to be hilarious, and his observation of whatever just happened
Was
and
funny.
His reaction, you know he thought something even funnier, but that word, you know whatever it is, oh, we were all thinking that too, and all he had to say is, word? You know, I've seen him destroy, which is that, where I couldn't go up there and
Say
to that
word,
degree,
right.
unless someone already knows my type of, you know, that's why I got like the podcast comedians can really crush it now in these theaters because they have audiences that listen to them every day. They know how they think, they know why they think it, they know their opinions on this, they know this. They can just go up there and jump into a topic. And I watched it happen with Duncan Trussell, who's friends with Rogan. He's kind of like, he had a TV show called Midnight Gospel. He's a very odd, very psychedelic, very into Ram Dass, into meditation, into all this kind of chants, into very out there stuff. And, you know, first time I saw him, he was opening for his girlfriend at the time, which was Natasha Leggero, who's a cute actress, female comedian, you know, like she was on a TV show, Last Comic Standing, had a mainstream fan base of people that enjoyed her, and Duncan is nothing like her. But they were dating, and he opened for her, and his material was, how weird is it, man? We got these tentacles between our legs that reproduce people, and that, you know, just weird stuff that if you're a fan of Duncan, it's like, it's hilarious. But if you're just a person that's waiting to see a celebrity, you're like,
What the fuck's going on here?
all right, guy, you know, smoke another one, buddy, you know, it's like, and the audience is kind of quiet during him, and he just does his set, and he goes on. Then I saw him a year later, and he had the podcast. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast a few more times, but he had his own podcast too, and he was doing this bar where it was all
more
his
people
fans, and he didn't know at that time it was all his fans, and he goes out there and he starts like doing his general set, and somebody yells out a topic, you know, singularity theory. He's like, hey man, sorry, I work into the, I gotta, you know, and then other people start cheering. He goes, and I wish I recorded it, the realization in his face. He goes, how many of you guys listen to my podcast, man? And like almost everybody cheered. He goes, it was one of the first times he's touring now that people are actually coming out for him.
Realization.
And he goes, so if I just talked about this topic right here, you guys know what I'm talking about. If I say this name, you know who I'm talking about. They go like, yeah. He goes, oh wow, this changes everything, man. All right, let's just, all right. And then he went to a completely different set of stuff that was like, all right.
He went right into it more
yeah,
so. Right?
Yeah, I don't have to build into who I am. You know, I don't need to introduce myself. I'm good. And that's how you get to, and people are already thinking like you. They're already.
Do you feel like you really have to introduce yourself?
Well, I mean, if the host does a good enough job, no. But I mean, there's definitely a point when.
So there's no like comedians like that start up that just go right into it?
I mean, you don't necessarily have to go up there and go, hi, I'm Darrin Chase. You know, that you don't have to do that necessarily. But you have to get them to know
A feel.
who you are and what you're thinking. Yeah, you have to.
What do you mean? Like, and I know you're saying that, but let's break it down. Like, give me an example.
I don't know. Like for me, I try to show like I don't take this as serious, and it's gonna take some left turns. Like I try to like throw something out there that's like gonna show a misdirect. Where it's like, all right, this is what's going on, and people are like, oh, all right, it's stoner thought. You know, it's like and right away like we're with this guy because we know, you know. stoner type guy. And unfortunately, I always get labeled with that. But like I'll confuse people sometimes. Like I'll go up there, and I might do it tonight, where I'll wear a suit on stage, and I won't even address it. And the audience is just like, why is this guy in a suit? You know, what's going on? And they're so confused because they're not with me on that. And they're like, what if I'm like, I just threw this on to look like an idiot today? And they're like, all right, cool. And they're with me. They're like, got it. Now we know why he's wearing the suit, you know? But if I just go up there and I don't address it, they're like, what's going on with the suit? Is he going to bring that up, you know? So, like, you got to let them know where you're at.
You do different costumes and shit or not?
Not costume. Like, I work with a
No, but
suit
would
on.
you? Or just a suit?
Yeah, I mean, it's something different. You dress up for the stage, you give them a little more respect, and it stands out. Like, more often than not, when I'm at the clubs here in New York, I've been wearing a suit. Just a lot of people, they're like going to a funeral kind of stuff, and I'm like, yeah, it's just fun to throw a suit on sometimes.
Have you ever thought about like throwing a like a hippie bandana on and just like fucking with the shit that people already think?
I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't go that deep into that old dude love type persona of.
Not every time, but just to see like how people react to it.
I mean, you know, to a point, but not really. I'm not really out there playing a character like that.
I'm talking shit right now.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, yeah. I want to see where
the Larry the Cable Guy kind of like hippie character or
it
something.
would be kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's one of those like weird things that like someone throws on a bandana and then it's just like you see him on a reel and it's like, wait, let me see what this guy's talking about. This is visual, right? So
Yeah.
I think colors matter too. Like I remember looking at comedy reels and like this girl, she had this suit on and she looked mad good. Like she looked good, right? And she was funny. But also she had this suit, and the suit caught my attention because she looked good, and with the suit on, it was like both same color. It was nice. Like I forgot what the color though. I think it was like a light green or blue. I don't know. But it caught my attention, and then look at the video. It was like, oof, thousands of views, thousands of likes. I like that shit too.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of like how you capture people's attention.
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, you got that product, which is your comedy. But how else are you gonna butter it? You know what I mean? Like you put the ribbon on top,
Sure.
and like present it. You know, I see. That's why you, I guess, want to come out sometimes in a suit and shit like that, right?
It's something different. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, yeah. I don't know if that's a regular thing I'll keep doing. Like, I'm still kind of trying to figure out, like, what's going on in terms of, you know.
Yeah.
I just got to get in some clubs where I'm working consistently. Because right now I'm still doing too much of that, like, trying to get stage time stuff. Like, that's the stage in comedy. Like, it takes 20 years to get, like, to be a regular. Like, there's people that rise really quickly and they kind of fizzle out really quickly. But the people that really, like, are in the game, you talk to them, they're like, yeah, I did the road for this amount of time. It was this, 20 years until you finally, now your friends are in positions that, like, they're running, just like all this different stuff. Like, in this world, there's the TikTok.
So there's politics too.
There's absolutely politics. And the people that rise quickly, the quickest right now, just have a strong social media presence. They just know how to edit and do their TikTok. And do
You
their
fuck with Rafa
Instagram.
Barbosa?
I know the name, but I don't.
It's funny.
Yeah.
He's funny.
But yeah, no, that's the whole side of things. Like, I wish that the social media side wasn't as important as it is, just to get stage time. Like back in the 90s, it used to be like you could just show up to clubs and you just get work. You're just working as a feature, you're getting regular. There was comedy work, and now there's so much access to comedy, and the people that think they're comedians, people that want to hear this guy's opinion about it, even if it's not comedy, who just want to hear your stories, who are fans of you as you are. And then that person goes to comedy clubs and can sell at comedy clubs, but they're not actual stand-up comics that have gone through the grind, so they don't really have that callousness to them as a real comedian. They're just a writer that has an audience or a performer that has an audience and stuff, and then that's drawing money to clubs, so they're like, yeah, we'll book that person. There was a lot of people that got booked off of Vine, 6-second videos. You're like, yeah, you can be funny in 6 seconds, but
Can't be funny on
you
stage.
captivate an audience, for an hour.
Different.
Some people can, a lot of people couldn't, and then there's some people that can't do short sets, but they're amazing storytellers, and they're packing out clubs, and they're brand new comics, but, it's all subjective. Comedy is one of those like weird worlds where
It's true.
it's so subjective.
It's
and
like who you
so,
talking to.
Yeah, and you stay in one area long enough.
It's a weird thing.
You know, but it'll, it's fun.
No, I feel that, bro.
And yeah, New York is definitely one of the best cities for it ever. Like in terms of how much comedy and how much stage time you can do and the people you can meet out here, it's beyond anything else, you know?
Yeah, seriously. Yo, what can you tell to the people that are watching right now? Like, what if there's anything that you could say to them as your, rise in comedy and your experience? What can you share with them as like maybe a guiding light for them if they're into comedy?
Like in trying to do it?
Yeah.
Or just trying to go after any dream or goal. Like
Word.
the number one thing you got to be aware and be able to do is sacrifice. You know, sacrifice what you think your lifestyle should be at this moment and all that stuff, and sacrifice your ability to hang out with friends and really live those lives if you want to pursue your craft. You always hear the stories like Michael Jordan, like was never at anyone's events, was only focusing on basketball. People thought he was rude, people thought he was, come on man, come on with this. And he was so focused, but like now you look at him like, oh, he's the greatest because he only did that. So you gotta sacrifice a lot if you wanna chase a dream past the hobby style.
Yeah.
But also like, just know that nothing's, everything always works out. That's always why I just live by. I'm just like, things work out. Do what makes you happy as long as it's not hurting somebody. Mm-hmm. And it's just try to maintain gratitude, and then more things that make you thankful will come in. Mm-hmm. If you are too dramatic and too worried, you're just gonna keep proving yourself right. And that's why I live by the worry-free comedy. It's like
You have different styles of it too?
This one I only got this right now, but I got a bunch of T-shirts and a bunch of different.
I like it, man.
things.
Just let me get one. You know what I'm saying? What if we comedy? We have a promotion right here. I bet. Do you have any questions for me?
What's she dreaming about? She's like, I want to ride that one wheel. I don't know, man. I don't know if you want me to interview you now?
Nice. I always ask if the person has a question at the end, and then you close it off that way.
I don't know. I don't think so.
You're not good with the questions.
Man, I just woke up from a nap before I came over here.
So yeah.
I was sleeping.
Go. It's the conversation. Yeah. Take your mind different places. Now you know. So yeah.